I'm here if you need me.
Thank you. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I guess
Okay,
we're
we
ready.
are live and ready to go. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome.
Richard. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
If it's Monday, it's time for
Ask the Oracles.
We always do that tonight.
I like it. Sweet.
This week we won't have Jeff with us again, but we have our new friend, Tanaaz Chubb.
Welcome, Tanaaz.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
One of the most amazing people we've ever met.
And we have wonderful Lauren, who always helps us so much. Hi, Lauren.
And Jeff sending us positive energy. And Lord knows we can talk, so I don't think there's going to be a problem. And maybe we'll even talk to people in the audience and see if there's a couple of questions that we can answer.
Oh, you mean to do some mini readings?
Mini readings, you never know.
So the topic we picked, because yesterday was May Day and we're welcoming all the abundance of the flowers, and we did some planting in our garden, right?
Yes, we did.
Everything looks so beautiful, and it makes you think of abundance. So
It makes you
Tanaaz,
think of feeding the rabbit outside.
this is a broad subject, and it got me thinking about so many things, because I've encountered people who think if they think abundantly, they're taking away from other people.
Right.
Which is not true, right?
The zero-sum game. Well, it doesn't seem to be. I actually never thought of that. Maybe it's because I'm a Leo rising. I never thought I was taking away from anybody else. But I think their abundance is our birthright.
I do too. And there's material abundance and there's spiritual abundance. And I know Monty loves to tell people that he's rich.
I am rich. All I have to do is see you.
What do you mean when you say you're rich?
I'm healthy. My bills are paid. I'm with the woman I love. What more do I have? I feel already like I'm robbing everybody in the whole world. If we want to use the premise for today. But I don't feel that way. I feel that everybody can have the best life possible.
We want our survival needs taken care of.
Yeah.
Basic needs taken care of.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs in psychology.
What's the opposite of abundance? Scarcity.
I would say scarcity, yes.
And
limitation.
That we put on ourselves lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it has to do with our upbringing, right? You know, sometimes we're embedded with voices from our parents or people around us that you don't deserve it, or you're too materialistic, or
I don't think my father thought anyone could be too materialistic. He was going for the gold on that one. I mean, he was a cop and he saw all kinds of things. So at the end of his life, he did well in the stock market.
He did well, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he actually did. And I'm sure it never occurred to him for a second that he was taking away from anyone else.
I'm sure not.
But that's my father. But Tanaaz, now you have a now 7-month-old child, so you must be thinking about everything so deeply once you get some sleep.
When you have time.
I actually have been getting better sleep, thankfully. So fingers crossed it sticks. But it's interesting. I was actually just talking about this with my husband the other day. I feel like growing up, my parents always downplayed everything, downplayed successes, downplayed, their wealth, downplayed, and I feel I noticed myself doing that a lot. I will downplay everything. And I was thinking about that, and I was like sort of challenging that belief, like, why do I do it? And I go, I guess my parents did it, but I am a big downplayer. And I don't know if that is, I do feel like partly that blocks some of the energy of abundance around me to just downplay, like, oh no, like, play it, keeping it small. And that's something that I've become aware that I do. And I think it's because my parents did it. And that's just how I grew up. Like, oh, you just are more conservative with how you talk about yourself, Yeah.
Yeah. It comes from the dark ages where they thought that if you were full of yourself, the devil would notice you. I swear to God, I wish it wasn't true, but that's where a lot of it comes from. Just like all the negativity about intuition comes from dark ages, women's intuition, because it was something that was part of women.
Plus, we always have to be vigilant about how we're thinking small or diminishing our desires, and how we can feel more deserving in some ways. You know, it's such a play with ourselves, right?
Well, I think that a good way to look at it is to feel as if we are beloved pets or children, and our parents, or if God or goddess or whatever force of the universe wants to give to us the way we want to give to our beloved.
All the good things.
Yeah,
right?
our cat was like living with a juvenile delinquent, but we loved him, and we just gave him as much as we could, and didn't sit in your lap or whatever. And it's not a transactional thing. I think that the universe exists for us. You know, the Dalai Lama says it. The purpose of life is to be happy. So there you go.
Well, I think we all want good health. We want, a beautiful place to live. We want, some of the comforts. I guess sometimes when it seems strange is when people that seem to have so much want more, 10 cars or, 5 houses, or there might be a hole inside that they're trying to fill in some cases.
We once actually met a woman who owned a spa.
She's one of my collectors.
And I looked at her chart for her. Tanaaz, you'll appreciate this. I looked at her chart and I said, oh my God, you have the chart of a homeless person. And she, this is someone who owned the spa, had 5 houses all around the world. And she burst into tears. She says, that's how I feel. I feel like I do not have a home. I don't feel anchored to any one of them. And I long for it. So, wealth and all that other stuff. We live out in the Hamptons. I do a lot of readings for a lot of people that have a lot, and they have problems. They just have different problems. Like they don't know who's their friend because of who they are. They have friends who they're a little concerned with, are trying to get something from them.
Well, there's the other thing about wealth. There's the status seekers, right? Who want to have I'm a fashion designer, and I sell at a very beautiful high-end store.
Bergdorf Goodman, which is Neiman Marcus.
There's a lot of fashion labels that have the name of the fashion house all over it. That's like a status item, that says how much money you have, or the handbag that costs $10,000. That's sort of a different form of abundance that doesn't really, we're talking about spiritual abundance. But Tanaaz, you're an entrepreneur. Tanaaz, everybody has like this amazing website called Forever Conscious, and you've really made it grown, talking about abundance. It's like a garden that you grow and nurture. And I think being an entrepreneur, we always set goals for ourselves. We're entrepreneurs too. And how it's all on you.
Yeah.
So you're the one that's creating the abundance for this dream, this wish, this passion, this creative endeavor.
You've done it. So share your secrets.
I don't know that I have any secrets about it,
That's
but
good.
I guess if we take the garden analogy, it's sort of, if you're passionate about it and you love to do it, it'll look pretty, so people will want to look at it, right? Because you're tending to the garden. I feel like I love what I do. I love to, so Forever Conscious, I have a lot of articles on there that I write about astrology and the different things happening in the universe and the cosmic energies. And I just love what I do. So I feel like I put my heart and soul into it. And I think anything that we do, when we put our heart and soul into it, people gravitate towards it. And I sort of never set out with I want to make the biggest website in the world. It was just like, whoever needs to see it, let them find it. And that's always sort of been my intention with it. And the same with everything that I do. Whoever needs to find it, let them find it. And that's sort of my mantra with, everything that I do. And I think we all hold that power to focus on the things that we love to do, and it doesn't have to be, this is my job. And I think that's where, especially in my generation, people kind of are like, oh, well, how do I make a living from it? And I get it. That's an important piece too. We all want to be able to make a living for it, but sometimes you just kind of have to start and not think about at least for me, that's how it started. It was like a hobby. And then it kind of turned into something. And, it was great that it did. I know it doesn't always happen like that for everybody, but that's just how it started.
Well, you give such great advice on your website. You know, when I've seen and your conversations with I don't mean conversations, when you're speaking to people, it's obviously so heartfelt and wise. I'm not surprised that you don't have people coming back and coming back and coming back, especially now when people are so isolated and they don't have a good friend who knows what she's talking about. You know, we've also been the same way with our books. We just put it out there and we do what we can. But you know, at a certain point, what can you do except just you don't want to lose your center.
Yes.
When you have, you know, I always think of the second house. I'm working on a book to teach people how to read a chart. And it's really gotten me thinking about astrology. And the thing about the second house of a chart, which is down here, that on the spiritual level, it's your value system. You know, down here is the second house. On the mental level, it's what you think you need to project yourself
in
into
everybody's individual chart.
in everybody's chart. And on the physical level, it's your movable possessions is the second house. And there is that spiritual, mental, physical aspect to abundance. And I think if you deal with your abundance issues on the spiritual level, you don't have to deal with it on a mental level. If you deal with it on a mental level, you don't have to deal with it on the physical level.
Yeah.
Because this and right now, the ruler of the second house, Taurus, up here, you have the sun and Uranus exactly conjunct. So this is a great time to actually do some manifesting rituals that will make your life different.
Well, Taurus rules abundance, right?
Yes. Think of what happened in the Northern Hemisphere during the time of Taurus. I don't want to sound like I'm mansplaining, by the way. I read that word for the first time the other day. I wanted to commit suicide.
You never mansplain.
I hope not. But at the time of Taurus, they'd hook up the oxen and make these beautiful furrows in the earth, and you'd smell the earth that was cut up. And you know, that's Taurus. Taurus is the richness of the earth,
And it's ruled by Venus. So
Right.
those are the things that we love. And it's like what you were saying, Tanaaz, if you put love into what you're creating, I mean, that's the energy that carries it through and makes it grow. That's what we've always done too. So I know sometimes as readers, people ask us questions, should I do this project or that project?
and we look at them like we don't know what we're talking
In other
about.
words, they want to know which one's going to be successful, but you can't always know that. You really have to kind of go with your passion and what you love and have fun with the creative end of it. Because if it's all business, then that takes the fun out of it.
Hey, by the way, a shout out to all you Aries people.
Hello.
Venus just is at 00 Aries right now. This is the astro
Talking
clock.
about doing what you love.
Right. This also means get off your ass.
Well, don't tell me
I'm-
twice.
You don't have to tell Amy. But anyway, I just want to say that. Sorry. I'll be good, kids. I'll be good.
A lot of abundance comes from directing your energy in the right direction. I mean, or to magnetize your desires. So that's a lot of visualization and affirming and focusing. And you can't just do it once. You can't just think today, oh, I'd like to have more money and then forget about it. And the rest of the time you're feeling a lack of money.
Wait, that explains a lot. Only kidding, everybody. No, you know, I remember many times, I remember being in my living room and saying, you know, I really want to work in the movie business. And then about a year later, I was working in the movie business. And I remember saying to Amy, you know, it's time to do another art book about you. And
I was kind of negative, wasn't I?
yeah. And I wrote this whole book called Quantum Affirmations. And the Quantum Affirmations, you visualize something with the problems included, because a lot of times when people do manifesting visualizations, they visualize it. It's all good. People, you know, the elves are going to come out and give me pots of gold, but they don't think about all the problems that are going to be happening. Like, where do I put this gold and who wants
Or you
it?
might have to hire somebody to help you,
Or give it. A big one people don't want, and it stops them, is they think about having to pay taxes on the money. I swear to God, people can be so silly. I have a friend who's very wealthy, and I was doing a visualization with him, and I said, imagine yourself getting $1 million. And he was like, can it be $1 billion? Because he had a lot of millions of dollars. And for him,
well, that was a lesson to us.
Yes,
that
it was.
Why we limit ourselves in a variety of ways, right?
hey, Tanaaz, is
tell
that
us-
downplaying? Because I'm not sure I understand what downplaying is.
I guess the downplaying, at least for me anyway, was kind of like, I don't know, selling yourself short. Like, oh, like, oh yeah, like I have a website, oh yeah, like it's just
Right.
this,
Yeah, but your website's awesome and you have so many people.
But she doesn't want to feel like an ego about it.
I
yeah.
don't think you have anything to worry about.
Oh, thank you. No, you know what? It was an unconscious behavior that it was something that I started to become aware of, like, why don't I do that? Why do I, it was just like, since we were on the topic of abundance, I guess I realized that little part of me, I think, being in a scarcity state rather than being open and going, you know what? No, like I can be proud of everything that I've achieved. I can say, yeah, actually, like, this is what I do, and I think, again, talking about the opposite of abundance and is scarcity. And I think that was like a limitation that I was putting on myself. So, I don't know if people listening can think about, okay, where am I doing that? Where am I putting limits on myself? Where am I thinking with a scarce mindset where I could be opening up to something more abundant, something more expansive, something less limiting?
Yeah,
That's
no,
good.
another way to try that visualization of how it would feel to have what you really desire, to really let it sink in and to experience what that brings up in you. If it feels uncomfortable, if it feels like maybe you don't quite deserve it. I know
Yeah.
a lot of successful people are always saying that they feel like
They're fooling
they're
everybody.
fooling, successful actors or actresses because, maybe they're all actors, right? We just had to.
Don't get me started. I
They're
used to
not
be a
actors.
bodyguard in the movie
You
business.
can't say
so-
actress.
Right, you
They're
can't
all
say
actors.
actress. They're all actors.
But that they, for some reason, that super success makes people feel like a sham sometimes. I don't, and probably for what you're saying, Tanaaz, that you might not feel comfortable with accepting.
When I worked with Michael J. Fox, he had a really appropriate attitude about it. I mean, he was the exception, I guess, that proved the rule. He was really cool about it. I don't think he had that. So I think that is a possible way to be. And I'm sorry, I'm just making that weird thing on my.
Well, I think a sense of purpose is part of feeling abundant. That you're here, you're using your talents in the right way. You're fulfilling your destiny in the right way. You're doing what you're here on earth to do. Right?
Exactly. I think right livelihood is a very important thing, and if the purpose of life is to be happy. I mean, when a fruit falls from the tree, you're not standing there saying, well, somebody else should be eating this. If you're hungry, eat.
I think that, what's going on in the world just reminded me, with the war in the Ukraine, people have a lot of guilt, for maybe doing something joyful or something fun, today is that they feel maybe that's not right because so many people are suffering. But that's because of the age we live in with all the information, bombarding us constantly. So to find our center, like what you were saying, Monty, not to lose your center because we can feel all these things all at once in a way.
Well, people don't give themselves a break. Everybody wants to think that they could be better, which is true, but at the same time,
you have to feel good enough at the same time,
right? Or else you're just working against yourself. It always comes back to treating yourself like the way you treat a beloved child or a pet or friend or somebody in need. People are so hard on themselves, especially, I hate to say it, but especially people who watch this show and who go to your website. Nice people are the ones that
only nice people allowed here, right?
Well, the bastards don't give a shit. Excuse my language, but it's true. They don't. I've met plenty of them too. They don't think they're taking your money. They think they're taking their money that you happen to have at the minute.
Right.
I think that's the biggest piece that I see too, is that deserving piece. Like, people I think feel like, oh, who am I to deserve this? And often it's a very deeply ingrained, sometimes subconscious too, is that deserving piece. The other thing that I see a lot with manifestation and abundance stuff is attachment, being too attached to an outcome, being too, because you hear like, oh, if you want to manifest, you got to be specific. And then I think people get very, very, very specific and then hold on to the details. So you kind of block the magic of the universe. I always like to say we are co-creators. We're working with the universe. So we can put an intention out there, but we kind of have to flow with what the universe sends back our way a little bit. Sometimes it can be very specific and we get that very specific thing back. And other times we kind of have to stay a little bit open-minded to what the universe's ideas are because we're co-creating. At least that's what I feel.
No,
I
we
agree.
agree. We always say separate your attention from your intention. In other words, you can make your wish and your desire and see it and feel it. Then you sort of let it go in a bubble because it's going to happen in divine timing, divine order, and a different way. I also think people get too specific about, if they want to meet the one, that they should be this height and have this color hair and
That certainly
whatever.
wasn't true for Amy and I. I mean, I was like, I'll never go out with anyone who wears eye makeup or eats meat or smokes cigarettes.
Well, I was doing all those things.
Amy was doing everything. I was like, I don't care.
You
I
threw
wasn't,
that out the window.
I wasn't stupid.
Except then you influenced me and I stopped smoking.
Right.
And I didn't stop wearing eye makeup.
No, I'm good. And I like it now. I had to, I think as far as the one and the couples and everything, you either grow together or you grow apart. So we were both committed to individual growth and we kept
Well, that's
going.
key. And I also think you have to have a partner or a friend, a coach that tracks you. Like Monty does that for me. If I'm thinking too small, he'll make me aware of it or help me see maybe how I'm thinking. Because sometimes we don't always see it in ourselves. And,
Well, the art book is the classic example because Amy did have an art book, coffee table, big book published about her work in 95, and it's beautiful. But something, I just felt it. It's time for a new one. And she thought, how's that going to happen? Which is a legitimate thing to think. How's that going to happen? But the answer from quantum affirmations is you don't have to know how it's going to happen.
in other words, we all have our doubts at times. It's never like you're purely enlightened and you're never going to make that mistake, diminish your desires again. But yeah, the awareness is key, so if you're vigilant, if you're quiet now and using the cards or looking at your chart as a contemplation, it helps you be aware of the energies and your response to the energies.
Right. Well, we are a response. That's who we are. That's who we are.
We are the affirmation, right?
Right. We are the affirmations we want to see.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, and plus it's fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of like a cool way to develop your own personal relationship with the universe too. I think it's kind of fun when you start to play with things like that or asking for signs and then noticing things, it's a fun way to kind of like make you feel a part of the energies.
Right. And plus you're aligning yourself with Albert Einstein, who says you could live like everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. I would rather align myself with someone like that. I like to think that everything is a miracle.
And sometimes your game is you yell at the spirits because you want them to
Oh, yeah. I'm like, you guys are dead. You're enjoying yourselves. You don't know how hard it is down here. In the Shinto religion, you come into the shrine, you clap your hands to.
Yeah, you have to wake them up.
Wake them up because they're
Hello?
busy. Yeah, really. It's like, hello, it's the end of the month. Bills are going to be paid. You guys don't remember bills. What's going on here? And maybe I'm wrong, but I like to think that the universe is a benevolent place. Yes, there's so much suffering and sorrow. I have to say there's been wars my whole life. There's been fear of nuclear weapons raining down on us since I was a child. And that, that's
when we were little, they did tests in school for us to hide under our desks in case there was a nuclear bomb.
And that was the first time I realized that the government was lying to me. Yeah, okay, so there's a nuclear bomb and I'm going to hide under this piece of crap desk. And this is going to be what's going to make it easier for me. They're going to bury me in the desk? What are you talking about?
I know. I think I was in 3rd grade. We knew back then that was...
Yeah, government equal liars. Especially about that.
But now we are so aware of everything that happens and every negative. I mean, we have to be so vigilant to wash off those things as well as our own thoughts and fears.
But this extends into the culture because people are so down on themselves. And in my opinion, people are so much nicer so much smarter,
Then they admit.
so much. No, then they, well, yeah, I guess then they admit. But then that when I was a child, everyone was like a murderer when I was growing up in Brooklyn. They, you know, who are the role models? Gangsters and you know, Humphrey Bogart, guys who would just like grip their butt and just
They
never
won't show their
smile.
emotion.
Exactly. People are so much better now. The world is so much better.
They
And every time I
communicate.
post it, people get mad. Oh, toxic positivity. Well, okay, try being
Oh.
born in 1950 and you'll see how good things are now in a lot of ways.
There is a lot of toxic negativity. Well,
yeah.
people like to complain. I think that is part of the scarcity lack, people blaming other people, not taking responsibility, or just getting off on complaining, right?
Yes, but and plus there's people like us who are trying to help. You know, there's so many more people trying to help. And I'm looking at the people who are watching the show. We have so many people here who come to Ask the Oracles,
So nice.
who are wonderful people who are out there doing books and doing readings and doing, you know, we're all part
Trying
of
to
the
grow, trying to
solution.
understand thinkers.
Right. And if you're, Eldridge Cleaver said it, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Well, so abundance, we practice a lot of gratitude, right?
All the time.
That's a feeling of abundance
Yeah.
as opposed to complaining.
Yeah. The other day I was actually grateful for being ungrateful because it made me more grateful. It was like I spiraled
Oh,
it.
you're
I
trying to be
spiraled
better
down.
than us.
I out gratitude myself. You know, maybe I am mansplaining. Oh no. Oh God.
That's a good one though. You know, if people say, how can I start with abundance? How can I bring, if it's, you know, you guys were saying it's our birthright, and I completely agree. It's a force that exists. It's there for you. And I think a good step is gratitude, you know, to start tapping into that force that's there. Gratitude. It's like I was going to say good first step, but it's kind of like the only step, if is in a way,
no,
you
I
know.
agree. Yeah, no, 100%. We were lucky enough to meet this guy, Arnold Kaiserling, who knew Jung personally and was a friend of Gurdjieff and people like that, Rabindranath Tagore. And he said Jung told him that when falling asleep wakes you up, you're making progress. In other words, when you notice that your thoughts have spiraled down or you're not being grateful.
Or you feel incomplete or empty.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because people are like, oh my God, I didn't have a spiritual thought and I was selfish. Well, yeah, okay, but you noticed it. Be grateful for the fact that you noticed it.
It's an ongoing process.
Right.
It really is.
Right.
Sometimes we write this, or every month we write this check for the new moon, and we write all our wishes on it, and then we burn it on the full moon. But we've been doing it for 40 years, and I noticed how we've changed. You know, maybe we would ask for one little thing.
Now it like
in the-
feels like, you know, because we're asking for a lot for other people.
Right.
Well, we got
It's
some-
okay to want things. I
It
think people
is.
feel guilty when they want things. I mean, as long as you don't feel empty without it, it's that longing. You know, we the first step is to feel and appreciate all the things that you do have,
Right.
you know, which includes good health, which includes
Or the
you know,
health you are capable of having.
right?
Because not everybody has good health, but
They have good health somewhere.
somewhere. I mean, you know, you hear about stuff, but yes, gratitude is definitely a good first step. Oh my God. I mean, talking about gratitude, and we're all alive and we can see the screen or hear the voices. I mean, when I'm writing a book and I write the word see or hear, or, you know, I realize there are people that are out of it, that can't see, that can't hear.
Yeah, but we don't want to compare ourselves either. We don't want
No,
to
and
say,
they don't
"Oh,
want us to be
No.
comparing. If you know people like that, they just want to be themselves. It's like people who are in grief. They don't want you to come in and remind them of their grief. They want you to remind them of what it is to be normal. How do you like that? Over to you, Tanaaz. How do you like that? Sorry.
I actually just saw Richard write in the comments that this allows me to allows the universe to send me something better. I think he was referring back to when we were talking about, you know, staying open to, like, you know, in being in that co-creative flow with the universe. And I really, really love that. I do think there's a lot of power in, you know, setting your intentions, asking for what you want, but then kind of leaving it open for the universe to send you something even better, something that you couldn't possibly think of for yourself, and then the universe can sort of step in and fill that gap for you that sometimes we are awful at seeing for ourselves what we need. So I think it's cool to have that to be open and say, hey, you know what? Just send me whatever's needed for my highest good in this situation or that situation or with this. So I just wanted to comment on that because I thought that was really, really profound.
Richard's cool. He has a book on tarot that we love.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that being open is key. And sometimes how we, to be aware of how we shut off. I think I see that when people are looking for partnership, that they might have an attachment to a former partnership that maybe wasn't a positive one, but it's still filling them up. So there's really no room for this new thing that they think they desire. So we have to recalibrate and adjust, how open we are, because it's the mindset, like I want this to happen, but there's all those thoughts of why it can't happen that we have to change and filter out.
It always comes back to, I think Henry Ford, who said, if you think you can do a thing or you think you can't do a thing, you're right. Because if you think it can't happen, or if you think it can't happen, it can only happen the way you want it to happen, you're basically challenging the universe to smack you in the face.
That's true.
Which the universe doesn't mind that challenge. Apparently, in my experience,
the universe is very good.
Right. That's a pro tip. Don't mess with the universe.
Why don't we try to do a little visualization with everyone, where everyone pick one thing that you feel would make your life more abundant, and let's just take a moment or two to take a few deep breaths, clear out some of the mind chatter, and think about that one thing for spring that will help your life garden be more beautiful, more abundant, and feel very deserving of this, and feel like it can happen right now. Feel what it feels like to have that. Breathe out a nice sigh to make room, open your heart, make space in your life for this, and just note what crops up. Anything that might limit this from happening, kind of let that go. And feel it, see it like a little movie, and believe it. And share this energy, this group energy, where we all want each other to have what our hearts desire. It's very supportive. And thank you for gathering together. And now we're going to let that intention go. Separate your attention from your intention and let it float away in a bubble, and know that it's safe and it's going to happen in divine timing. Another breath and open your eyes. And if anyone wants to share how that felt, the energy is so good here. It feels very normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're doing it by ourselves, we maybe are more skeptical, or
I'm not skeptical.
No, because you're an expert in quantum affirmations.
Well, that's true too. The thing with quantum affirmations and what we were just doing is as real as you can see is as real as it can be. If you really feel like it's happening right now, and you've come to that next stage, because you're going to want other things based on getting what you want. And that's just the way things are. Things come with the territory of getting what you want.
And Mary Hess says that, she's feeling grief because she lost her friend. And then it makes you cherish all the things that you do have even
Yeah.
more. I
Yeah.
mean, we think we do, right? But when you have that loss, you feel even more that life is short, things are fleeting. But this is the time, Mary, with all these planets in Pisces, and the Pisces energy makes us all feel so many emotions. And, we can feel one way 1 second and, start crying the next second. It's a very emotional time.
I posted today on Facebook that grief is love that is now homeless. I should have said for a while, because of course a lot of people had to push back against what I think. But
well, yeah, it comes in waves, grief, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to show people what's going on when Amy was talking about Pisces. This is something I'm sure, Tanaaz knows all about this. Jupiter and Neptune, the form with a hook and the Neptune's trident is Jupiter and Neptune. And they're both really close. Those two parentheses back to back is Pisces. They're 4 degrees away. And Jupiter's the traditional ruler of Pisces before Neptune was rediscovered. And
well, it's spiritual abundance, right?
yes. But, in electricity, if you hook up an extension cord to a power station, it's going to fry the power cord. And the Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces energy is so powerful that if you've prepared yourself by being a spiritual person and done exercises just like what we just did before, you're more likely to be able to channel this kind of intense Jupiter Pisces energy. Right, Tanaaz? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I have a tendency to go on. I'm sorry.
No. You're absolutely right. And yeah, like you were saying too, with Venus moving into Aries, that's a really nice manifestation energy there too. And then you've got that along with the Jupiter, Neptune energies. It's sort of a really beautiful combination, actually.
Yeah. Yes, I'm actually really glad Venus is in Aries now, because that Pisces energy I have my moon right there is on the 27th degree of Pisces, and I feel it. I can definitely feel it. What I'm trying to do is work with, how to put it. In martial arts, you don't stand there and you're a really strong person like Arnold Schwarzenegger. What you try and do is use the energy of your opponent to defeat your opponent. And when you have energy like Jupiter and Neptune together, you ain't going to push the river. Let's put it this way. You're not going to stop the ocean like King Canute. You're not going to stop the tides. So you have to learn to flow with it. And Jupiter, Neptune, if you flow with it, it's incredible, but you can't control it at all.
I think one of the manifestations of this astrological energy of people being so compassionate
Yes.
for people in the Ukraine and people who are suffering, and people giving in all kinds of ways. I mean, there's an abundance of compassion and giving. That's a beautiful thing.
And it has to extend to yourself. You have to be, I know I'm always banging on about this, but people are not nice to themselves.
So why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Religious background, or
I think it's a lot what Tanaaz said before about the parental thing. I had to work on that a lot. I'm 72 now, so I don't have the excuse of,
well, your parents
parents did this, my parents did that.
They had a poverty consciousness.
Very well. Everyone who lived through the Depression did.
Yeah.
They had suffered, but at the same time, me interacting with them was like, this is them, they're crazy, and this is me. I have a choice. I can't let them roll over me. And that helped me to get through life and helped me to find you, because your mother was like really amazing and wonderful. And so I was able to recognize what the truth was. But sometimes, not okay, this is mansplaining for sure. It's easier. Back in the 50s, it was easier to be a guy. And I was very aware of the unfairness of the way women were treated. I was extremely aware of it. When I got thrown out of my house, I wasn't a girl living in the park. I was a guy living in the park. There's a big difference for that kind of stuff. And so I think the parental voice, you have to be conscious of the fact that you have incorporated it the way a tree can
and to
absorb
separate
it. Yeah,
what's your authentic voice and what's influencing from other people's voices.
Right. Sorry for the mansplaining. I'm
I
very
also
aware of masculine. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I also think society, I think, yes, it's our, influences growing up. And I think our society, unfortunately, is built to keep us in a constant state of I am not good enough. Every time you turn on the TV, go on social media, we are bombarded with that because that's how they sell things to us, right? Like if we were perfect, we wouldn't need that latest this
Mhm.
thing or that thing, So I think society kind of sets us up to feel that way. And I think unless we're aware of it and really consciously work on it and pay attention to what we're ingesting and our thoughts, I have it too. Like I'll find myself, scrolling through Instagram and be like, oh, everyone looked like they had such a good weekend. My weekend was so boring, and it's like, hang on a minute, but everything is set up, to prey on us in that way. And I think we just have to be aware of what we're ingesting and, what it's making us feel when we're watching it.
Yes, and pay attention to our own self-worth and self-esteem because, yeah, it's fragile. I know what you mean. You can scroll by this perfect looking person or compare yourself to, or they have a bigger house, or yeah, they all went around the world on a vacation and I'm just sitting here or whatever triggers in you. But yeah, we're all prone to comparing ourselves, I guess, to
One day it occurred to me that if I want what I have, then I have what I want.
yes.
And the mathematical
Mhm.
equation,
I like that.
it seems silly and stupid, but it's really true. And I'm not saying that's where, you draw the line, you don't go past it, but that's a great base point to start from.
Because
what you have.
We created that.
Right. If you can create that, you can create something else. I also have the master affirmation, which I had before I invented quantum affirmations, which is I have all that I need to get what I want. And if you say that and you feel it and you really believe it, because A, it happens to be true, and B, it's a great idea to really believe it if you want to actually change your life, you have all that you need to get what you want.
Well,
just get on with
it's
it.
like, do I? What? I mean, that brings up stuff, right?
Well, I guess it does. God, I just can't figure it out. I try. I think trying is important.
Let's see. Suzanne said what came up for her in that little meditation was about putting things in order, and then she said that's probably divine order, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think putting things in order is sort of making this part of your routine. Just like brushing your teeth or taking a shower, to check in with your desires and check in with your self-esteem. And am I feeling this way because I just saw something bad on the news, or am I feeling this way because of, something I'm putting in my mind that, is just an illusion, or, it's a daily kind of thing. And so if we reinforce what we really want with positive images around us, or making little rituals in our day where doing it in the shower is a great time because you're already taking a shower, so you can wash away the bed, cleanse yourself, take that moment you're by yourself to do a nice visualization affirmation.
And if everybody thinks, oh my God, I feel two ways about this, I don't really understand why I feel this way.
The Pisces?
No, check this out.
Oh,
the moon and Mercury are exactly on the same degree of Gemini, that the Roman numeral 2.
Overthinking.
Yeah, so you're allowed to, anybody who's a Gemini is actually 2 of you at least. So,
but we love you,
yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah. Speaking of Michael J. Fox and Amy's mother, who was the best person I ever met, who was a Gemini. So, the astrology always falls somewhere in everybody's chart. And the astrology right now is very concentrated. There's something called the Barbeau Index, which it shows that how when the major outer planets are connected, very close to each other, it's usually a time for intensity on Earth. And let me tell you,
we didn't think it could get more intense.
I was like, who's this guy Barbeau in his cycle? Well, oh my God, it's just like every day it's something else.
Sometimes when we feel like we failed or, we disappointed ourselves, then we have to pick ourselves up again, right?
Right.
And get ourselves back in the groove. And I think, this whole pandemic has kind of been that feeling of, taking our power away. So we're in the process now, and it's a good time with this Jupiter going into Aries and
Mm.
to start over. It's spring anyway.
Tanaaz, do you notice any kind of a pattern in what people are asking you and talking to you about on your website and on Instagram?
I definitely, yes, it's definitely seems like, and this is something that, is in the astrology too with the eclipses, but a lot of change for people happening right now, like sudden life changes, making big decisions, that are shifting their life in a different direction. I'm seeing a lot of that right now. And I have to feel like it's because of these eclipses. Eclipses are always big points of change and transformation. And I kind of had observed this too, looking at where all the planets are. They're all and I didn't know that. I never heard of, what would you say, the Barbeau?
Barbeau, yeah, Barbeut, or Barbeau. It's Barbeau. Sorry, it's French.
I never heard of that, but I have noticed that all the planets are either in the first couple of signs of the zodiac or the last couple of signs of the zodiac. And that to me was sort of like, oh, endings and beginnings, like this real closing one chapter, starting a new one. This sort of death and rebirth energy just feels very strong, and I am seeing it a lot in my life, in people around me, and then in what people are saying on social media too.
Yeah.
Well, that's true with all that Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it does rule endings and endings of different cycles. So I noticed that too. You posted about big changes coming, and people
Well,
were saying, "Well, I'm moving from the East Coast to the West Coast," or something major.
Yeah, and
a whole new job.
This is the planet Pluto that looks like the floating basketball, Jeff Koons floating basketball. So this is Pluto, and that thing that looks like prescription is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn. It went retrograde on the day of the eclipse, and that's a big deal. And at the same time, the eclipse, the sun and the moon were together, right? For the eclipse, it's a new moon with benefits, and they were right next to the planet Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
So Uranus is sudden, unexpected, out of the blue change that keeps your life new and exciting. Ha, ha, ha. And Pluto going retrograde is a big deal. And it's retrograde for a long time because it's the furthest out planet. So it's a transformative power eclipse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And Michelle Marie says in Vedic astrology, that's called a karmic knot. I love that.
Oh, I love that.
Between water and fire signs that heralds the end of an old cycle and the rebirth of a new one.
Yeah, conjunction. Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's got to always remember that there is a spectrum of meanings for every planet, sign, and house. And you can have a great aspect, and there's a spectrum. One of the meanings of that great aspect is a problem for somebody. So all these things fall somewhere in your chart. And it's up to you to exert your free will, because as Ptolemy, I think I just needed a spit filter from my microphone. Ptolemy said, the stars incline, they do not compel. So nobody can blame the Mercury retrograde that's coming up for anything, or blame the Pluto retrograde. You have the free will to do stuff with it. But knowing astrology and going to an astrologer, or else going to your website, or reading our books or whatever, it just helps you prepare, because you need to be prepared. You just can't walk out and say, okay, a universe, blow me around like a leaf. It just doesn't work very well for you.
Well, I think we're talking about big changes, right? But some people, or most people, are afraid of big change.
Well, yeah.
That's the death card in the tarot, right?
Correct.
We have the Two of Pentacles, which is little everyday changes, and we have big changes. So it's hard to let stuff go, bring in the new. I have friends dealing with elderly parents, and they have to make big changes and move their parents. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
And
more for them than for the parents in a lot of cases, which is very odd to me anyway. I mean, it's like this woman's father is 93 and he's cool with it, and she's like freaking out.
I think they don't want to. There's a role reversal where the child becomes a parent and the parent becomes a child,
Right.
and that's a big change. But yeah, we have to embrace change. I mean, because life is all about that. So why we think we have any other choice except to embrace it.
Well, there used to be a play called Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. How many times have people felt that way lately, right?
Well, we had this big change laid on us by, the pandemic and all the decisions that were out of our control. And
who said it was going to be over in April of 2022? Yeah, taking a
you
victory
said that a
lap.
long time ago.
I said it over a year ago.
I believed.
Thank you. But you have benefits for believing.
That's right.
Here's the thing. I mean, Tanaaz is doing it.
Oh, Mary has found
We're doing
Andre Barbeau. So it's
Barbault. Thank you, Mary.
Right.
1920. Yeah,
He's still
1921.
alive.
Yeah. If you want, you can go to, I think William Stickovers has the Barbeau cycle. The time now, actually, wonderful news, correlates to the time of the Roman Empire's decline, unfortunately. And plus the United States is going through its 240 something year Pluto return, and no empire survives its Pluto return without fundamental transformation. I mean, when Barack Obama said he wanted to fundamentally transform the United States, he was whether you like him or not, he was in keeping with the energy of the Pluto return.
But so then that filters down to our individual lives, so creating something new helps you embrace change.
Right.
Might as well get a jump on and change it ourselves, before the universe wants to wake us up.
Yeah, but that's just it. Tanaaz and us and so many of the people here, we're all cheerleaders for each other. We all need each other so badly. We all need to be reminded, because like what Tanaaz was saying before about how they want to sell us stuff and they want to say we're not good enough. And that's why there's not a new age channel, because we are the anti-selling. We're there telling people you're good enough. Don't be so down. You don't need the new shiny object.
Well, I do like them to buy my jewelry. So.
All right. Well, I'm in a lot of trouble. And it's really
but they
nice
don't
knowing
need
you.
that much of it.
And everybody needs a $6,000 caftan. Start saving now.
Look, we make stuff to sell. We do.
We do.
mean, like so many people. But
In our defense, we don't invest. We just make products to sell products.
We're a very small company. There's two of us.
Right. And I
mean,
think I'm fired.
It's anti-corporate, right?
Yeah. Well, it's also we're afraid to have employees. I don't know. Those of you who've been in business, you understand what I'm saying.
But I think that's changing a lot. The corporate attitude towards corporations. I mean, there's so much change going on in the whole world, being aware of diversity in a different way. There's like wonderful things that are making us more aware, but we have to like be vigilant of where we're getting our information.
Yeah, but why isn't this show on network television? It's because we are anti-network television in the sense that we're not trying to sell you anything except maybe our stuff. We're trying to help people help themselves, and television does not do that. I've said this before. I guess maybe Tanaaz hasn't heard me say this. I had a friend who had his own television network, and he sold his network to Rupert Murdoch. The Fox network was his before. I think it was UPN network. And he said to me, New Age is a broad market masquerading as a niche market, because it's about life, death, and everything that happens in between. Because he was like, I don't understand why there's not a New Age channel, or at least a satellite channel. There really needs to be such a thing. Well, the way you're going, Tanaaz, you're going to do it.
Maybe I'd like to do that. Although, I feel like there are a couple of little things like Oprah had that, I don't know if she still does it, Super Soul Sunday. I always thought that was kind of a nice show. And, one time I flicked on, I don't know who she had on. I watched a clip on YouTube of the Ellen DeGeneres show, and she had a guest on. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like one of the Kardashians. And they started talking about angel numbers. And it was just so random. And they were like, oh, probably no one knows what we're talking about. And they kind of laughed it off. But there it was on, network television, right? They were talking about angel numbers. So there's little bits of it that you see here and there that I don't think you would have ever noticed before. But there's no dedicated. Yeah.
You just changed my mind, because I was thinking today, the Kardashians mark an epoch in history. and I don't know anything about them. But if they're bringing stuff like that, I'm willing to listen to that voice again.
Look, no, I don't know how much that was. It was a small part of the little interview that I happened to watch, but
Look at how you remembered it and how effective it was.
We were talking.
Yeah, it was because I remember thinking like I never watched this sort of stuff, and then here it was, and I clicked on it, and they just happened to talk about angel numbers, so I was like, oh wow, that's so weird. Yeah.
Because there's so many venues or avenues now, YouTube channels, and people are doing their own TV shows.
Right,
So
we're
it's-
actually talking about
It's
having,
Age of Aquarius, right?
having our own shopping channel because we have so many different. We could do a book club. We have over 50 books, and we even have them in different languages. We've now passed the 3 million mark in 18 languages.
Wow, that's amazing. Very good. Yes.
Thank
very
you. Yeah,
So we
that's.
have to feel good about that.
It's not enough.
Well, I think with the, so I'm so sorry. I think I interrupted.
No, go right ahead.
I was going to say, I think with this Jupiter moving into Aries, which happens on May 10th, I think we're going to see a lot more of a push for independence, doing things on our own, and I think, I know we were chatting about this earlier, NFTs and, the, what is it, the metaverse. I think that's all, I don't really understand it, but from what I can understand, it's opens up opportunities for people to kind of get off these big platforms and do their own thing and be kind of the ruler of their own domain rather than having to rely on things like, I know Facebook has a metaverse already, but, like Facebook, like social media, these big channels, you can kind of go out there and do it yourself,
Yeah.
Amazon did that with self-publishing, I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about Amazon, but, if you were for an author, it opened up a total opportunity where you didn't need a publisher. You could write a book, you could put it out there, you could sell it to millions of people. It was a game changer for, that industry and will continue to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Age of Aquarius, right? Where the technology available where everyone can be a star, which is the Leo part, the Leo opposite the Aquarius. But we used to, I think things go in cycles. And I know when I was in college and first got into astrology and tarot, it was sort of in the air then. And now we can definitely see it in the air. And Monty and I, when our first books came out in the late 80s, early 90s, we were on TV quite a bit talking about tarot and astrology, and it was just normal and people talking about it in a normal way. Then it kind of died where they only wanted celebrities. But now I think it's so popular, which is very cool, right?
You want to laugh, Tanaaz? There's us on Home Shopping Network selling tarot cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That
right.
was
It's
like-
frightening.
That was early 90s.
Yeah, we had our own show.
What was it like in the early 90s to be selling tarot? Like, what did people think at that time? Like the general population of tarot cards, were you guys like just so alternative, or was it a little bit more like?
Well, it was normal for us.
I think Amy had purple hair.
Yeah.
So wait.
They treated it in a very normal way, because those hosts can sell anything. And, I really admire them because they have that kind of magic. But they were like, show us how it works. And then they would bring people up to ask questions. And we didn't take any of the bad cards out. And sometimes we'd pick a bad card, but, we'd tell them what it meant and always made sense. And
The first time we were on actually on QVC, which is a different channel. And they put us on at 7 a.m. on Sunday when people are getting dressed to go to church. And we were on with their first host of color. So they were trying to get rid of her and they were trying to get rid of us. And
she's like the biggest host now. She's been on all these years.
And let me tell you that nothing fazed that woman. She got the worst cards in the tarot. She got the 3 of Swords out of the gate with the swords going through the heart.
And she said, well, this is fun.
This would be great at parties. She really said it. And we have the video. And we just got bad card after bad card. We sold 1,000 $35 sets of the Instant Tarot Reader, which was a book I wrote about that. It's called Instant Tarot, which is every card interpreted in every position of a Celtic cross.
It's live. So they would take callers of people. And I remember this woman called in. She said, I'm a kahuna from Hawaii and I can read auras. And Monty goes, well, I hope they match our outfits.
And she said, as a matter of fact, they don't, and they cut her off, because it's live television. But it was pretty amazing. We thought it was going well, and then all of a sudden, we're starting to run out of time. But we thought it was going to go on, but then they went over to the celebrity model instead of what people want.
It's probably what they want now, right? We're always ahead.
Yeah, maybe we'll contact them because Home Shopping Network sent out some lame letter. They
Yeah, but we
need
don't
us
want to.
badly.
We don't want to travel. Oh well, we'll talk about it. And everybody, everybody, this is. We had an abundance of ideas. Thank you, Lauren, for your help always. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Tanaaz, you're great.
Amazing.
Everyone, check out her fantastic Forever Conscious website, and she's on Instagram and Facebook also.
Yeah, it's either you have to go there. We've never said this
It's
before, but you have to.
It's
really
uplifting. Yes.
It's good for you. It's like telling you about something that's going to make you feel wonderful.
And everybody, will see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.